Hello, this is Mayor Derek Armstead, and welcome to another edition of Conversation with the Mayor. Today we have our Chief of Police, Chief David Hart, and Chief David Hart will be giving us an overview of what his job entails and what the Linden Police Department's responsibilities are to our city and what they can do to try to help make Linden a better place to live for all of us. So Chief, tell me, how long have you worked for the city of Linden, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in Linden. I've been a police officer now. I'm in my 40th year as a police officer. I started as an officer at the Union County Police Department in 1985. And in 1987, I took the test for Linden Police, and I transitioned over from the county police to Linden. So I've been here now for about 37, 38 years working for the city of Linden.
Now, you have a background in EMS as well, don't you?
Yes, sir. I started off, I had a love for public safety. I actually always wanted to be a fireman. And out of high school, I joined the old Linden Volunteer Ambulance Corps, LVAC, and as a cadet. And then when I became 18, I went to EMT school. Yeah, so I had almost a 40-year career volunteering and paid part-time career as an EMT and then also as a paramedic for over 30 years at Rollway Hospital.
So Chief, if it's possible, I know you have a lot of responsibility. Could you just basically give us an overview of what your profession entails?
Being a chief of police today in any department is an involved job. In the Linden Police Department, I oversee the whole operation of obviously the police department. This also includes dispatch and our crossing guards. We have 5 divisions within the police department. We have an investigative division. We have professional standards, which is training and internal affairs. We have the administration, which is out of my office. We also have patrol and uniform services. So we have five divisions which I oversee, and they are commanded by captains. So the day-to-day function is very involved. It's not just police cars and detectives like you would see many years ago. Officers on patrol. That's a big part of our department, and a handful of detectives doing follow-up cases. We also have specialization with records, body-worn cameras, OPRA, and then we branch out to community policing, community relations. We get involved in a lot of other things. So we have a lot of moving parts here at the PD, including dispatch, which we oversee here at the police department. So today, our police profession today, a police executive, whether it's a commander or a chief of police, does have a lot on his plate and oversees a lot of operation within their department. We have the best trained department that we've ever had. I'm happy to say most diverse department we've ever had. With recruitment, we recruit in our schools and our churches and the colleges, and we have career fairs. So we're always looking to improve our department with diversity within the department, with technology, and of course improving the way we police here in the city of Linden.
So Chief, I've been around for 30 years, and I think it's safe to say that policing, as we used to know it, is no longer exists. Policing is a whole different world now. It has really evolved into a whole different field, as I see it. So again, Chief, as I mentioned earlier, policing has changed a lot, and what I've noticed even more so is that the police department is more active with dealing with residents, as they're more proactive now than they've ever been before. How would a constituent or a resident get in touch with you personally if they had to?
Certainly they can call my office. I have secretarial staff that will assist. The number is 908-474-8513, or email me at dhart@lpdnj.org. I will guarantee if you have an issue or a problem, if you call me or email me, if I can't help you directly, you will get a response from my office or one of the commanders from within the police department.
I can attest to that. I know that you're very proactive and you're very responsive. Just last night we were at a community meeting, and a lot of questions were presented to you, and I think you had some very good answers for our residents. So I thank you for that, for being a proactive chief, and a hands-on chief is what I'll say. You know, you're not one of those guys who sits up in the office all day. You know, you're one of the guys who are out there. You should run for council. No, just kidding. No.
Community policing and community outreach is key for any police department, whether it's urban, suburban, or rural department. There is crime fighting, there is law enforcement that we obviously do on a daily basis, but engaging the community, our churches, our schools, and our businesses is key for the success of any police department.
So Chief, you've been around for a long time, you know, and like any profession, when you're there for a long time, there are a lot of things that happen. Now, I know in the police department, every day is a new day, just like the mayor's office, every day is a new day. Can you basically talk about maybe some of the more interesting things that have occurred in your tenure as a chief?
Well, after 40 years in policing and almost 40 years in EMS, there's been a lot of things that have gone on, good and bad as a police officer and as a police administrator. Some of the most dramatic things, and maybe not good things, of the terror attacks of 9/11 were tremendous impact on the city of Linden. Of course, police officers here in the town. The Rahami terrorist arrest several years ago here on Elizabeth Avenue. There's been a lot of tragedies and a lot of good things over the course of the career. I can't really pick one in general, but the career has been very rewarding. It's a noble profession, regardless of what department and what rank you have and what department you work for. There's no job or profession you can touch the lives of so many people as that of a police officer. I've been very blessed, and I've been very blessed by our good Lord that this has been a tremendous career for myself, and hopefully I've helped as many people as I could over the course of 40 years.
I've often said, and you probably heard me say it at least a half dozen times, that police officers have a tremendous amount of power. And I think one of the biggest abilities, one of the most important things they could do is having the power to influence people, by just communicating, being respectful, and letting people know that the police are really their friends versus their enemies. And we know that there's times out there when you got to go out and get the bad guys. But there's certain situations where sometimes just a little bit of common sense and a little bit of respect can basically shed a lot of insight on just how decent some of our police officers can be.
Yep. Police officers are people like we all are. We all have family problems. We all have, we're all human. And police officers on a day in and day out basis, particularly our officers here in Linden, go out and do the best job they can. They give 100%. Our men and women of this department, they are tremendous people. Communication is the key today. Public relations is the key. Community policing is the key. Again, we have a component of crime fighting and enforcing law, but good communication and good relations with our community is key to a successful police department. And we have the best trained and best educated officers, more than we've ever had. We do more training than we've ever done, and this is key to a good cohesion within the community. I always say the police need the community and the community needs the police, and most people support police 100%.
I agree, and I think one of your biggest tools are the community. The people in your community is a great resource for our police department. Chief, in policing, as we've discussed earlier, there are a lot of different areas of concerns, a lot of areas that you are involved with. But if you could pick one thing, or even a couple things that you would do to change policing in Linden or the state, what do you think that might be?
Well, there's several things. As we said, policing has evolved tremendously, up and down, good and bad, over the course of my career. I think lately, I think we need to reevaluate, although it was evaluated about 5-6 years ago, our bail reform laws and our criminal justice system within the state of New Jersey. I think we need to look at that again and reevaluate our criminal justice system. There has been some improvements. We have to be fair to our citizens. Of course, citizens should always be treated fairly, our system, and of course the police department. Also, juvenile justice, I think, needs to be reevaluated. And one of our biggest social issues which affects policing is our mental health crisis, not only in our country but in the state of New Jersey. We need more mental health services for our citizens. It's the worst, I would say, one of the worst mental health crises we've ever seen, and police deal with this on a daily basis with our EMS, of course, in the city. I'd like to mention our Arrive program, which Linden and Elizabeth PDs were the first cities in the state of New Jersey to participate in this pilot program. It's called Arrive, where we put a police officer with a mental health counselor that responds to mental health crisis calls within the city. It's been a tremendous success in New Jersey and here in Union County, and I'm happy to say myself and Chief Sock and Elizabeth instituted this after the state police, first towns in the state to have this program. We now have all 21 towns in Union County, the first in New Jersey to participate, where they participate at least one day a week, an officer with a mental health counselor, and this is a county-wide and a statewide program now, and Linden and Elizabeth were the first towns in the state.
Get a lot of good feedback with regards to the Arrive program. Even last night at the community meeting that we had, several people came up and commented about the Arrive program and said they didn't even know it existed, but they said, wow, when they heard about it last night, they said, what a good thing. And I think it's good for Linden, it's good for the state, and I do believe that it will eventually save lives, and it just makes us a better force. And one thing else you talked about was bail reform. As a mayor, I see a lot of reports that come in on a daily basis, and I happen to agree with the fact that we have to have bail reform because it's not fair that a person can rob you in the morning and be out in the afternoon. If somebody is a habitual offender, then they should not have be allowed out of jail to be able to continue to commit more crimes. So I think bail reform is something that has to be addressed. And we have to address it in a holistic way that that we don't want to lock a person up who doesn't have automobile insurance for 60 days versus a person who's climbing through somebody's back window trying to rob them, or somebody who mugs a person or harms a person. Bail reform, we don't want to let hardened criminals out on the streets that are going to adversely affect our communities. So I agree 100% with you on that.
And that has to be done through legislature, and it was changed, and we have to find a middle ground, I believe, on this. Right. We have to be fair. We should always be fair, but there has to be a middle ground on this. Yes. And I know it's being reevaluated at the state level, but it's going to take some time to reevaluate.
It will be. It will take time. Yes. Yep. So. Chief, tell us more about some of the various programs that we have in town that really are designed to assist our youth and just help people in general.
As I mentioned before, Mayor, we have a robust community relations, community outreach. If someone calls me, a school or church, or they want a police officer to come to an event, a city event, we don't say no. Whether it's setting up a table and giving out handouts and some giveaways from the police department, or whether it's doing a talk at a school, or whether it's just a police car stopping by at a basketball tournament. So that's the key. The starting point is community outreach, which I think we do very well here at the PD. It's not because of myself, it's because of all the great men and women that answer the call and go out to all these events. A couple of programs that we have here, I just want to mention, a lot of it's forgotten over the course of a year. People don't realize things that we have. We started this LEAD program, again, Law Enforcement Against Drugs. It's for 5th grade students within the school system. We initiated that last year, and we're going to continue that eventually, hopefully, at all of our grammar schools. We've successfully completed a few already last year and into this school year. We also have, I mentioned the Arrive program, which is very successful. We have a few other programs here that people may not be aware of. The Internet Exchange program, where a safe place if someone buys something on the internet, they can come to the front of City Hall to make a purchase, and right in front of our police department window and in the front lobby area where you can actually exchange it, make a transaction with something you bought online. We also have, I wanted to mention our CIT officers. We were talking about mental health before. Our CIT is crisis intervention training. We have the most officers trained in crisis intervention in Union County. I'm very pleased to report that. And also mental health first aid. We have a 150-man department, and most of our officers, almost 100% of officers, were trained. It's a one-day, 8-hour class in mental health first aid. So CIT is a 40-hour program. Mental health first aid is an 8-hour program. And with this mental health, I call it a crisis that we have in our state, the more training we have in this area too is tremendous. I would also ask our citizens to sign up for our NIXL, which is sometimes people don't realize our NIXL is our citywide alert system. Captain Gunther runs that to my office, our public information officer. NIXL alerts give when roads are closed and when there's a police activity in the area. NIXL alerts are sent out by the police department. Another great program. And also our special needs registry by our state of New Jersey. Anyone who has special needs, they can register through New Jersey Office of Emergency Management. It's a confidential website, and if there's a citywide emergency, we would know in different neighborhoods who may have special needs in that neighborhood, bedridden people and things like that. And our last is our new program, the Blue Envelope program, which is for people with special needs who are driving a car. You fill out a blue envelope and you actually carry it with you in your car. And if you're stopped by a police officer, it might be a visual problem or an auditory problem or some other special needs, or autistic spectrum possibly problem, that officer would know that someone that you are stopping may have a special needs in the vehicle. It's a great program. The county rolled it out this year, and we're participating with that also.
Great programs. Yeah. You mentioned NIXL. So NIXL is a program that gives you community alerts. How would a person sign up for NIXL? Could you tell us more about that?
You can. It's actually Nixle. I believe it's Nixle.com, or you can call my office. Talk to Captain Gunther. Captain Christopher Gunther is our PIO, and he is the head of the Nixle program, and can point you in the right direction.
Very good program. I want the public to know. It gives you warnings if there's inclement weather, tornadoes, whatever. If roads are shut down, Nixle is a very useful tool. It informs the residents of what's going on, and I think every resident in Linden should sign up for Nixle, and we got to make sure that we push that a little bit more out of my office as well. As we wind down, Chief, 2 more questions. What made you get into this profession, and what would you recommend to young people who are considering a career in law enforcement?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a fireman. From I was like 8 or 10 years old, I had a love for public safety, a love for the fire service. And as I became a teenager and then, eventually graduating high school and going on to college, I started taking public civil service tests for public safety jobs. And by chance, I took a police test, did well on it, and then I became a Union County police officer. And at the same time, as we mentioned earlier, I had a love for EMS, and I started at the Linden Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So I became a police officer and a paramedic actually the same year when I was 21 years of age. And the rest is history. I grew on to continue to get promoted and take tests and advance my career as a police officer and my involvement as an EMT and then as a paramedic later at Rollway Hospital. And then also, and later on in my career, became the emergency management coordinator here for the city. I was a deputy coordinator. Now I am also a coordinator of emergency preparedness, emergency management for the city of Linden. My recommendation for anybody having a love for a possible career in law enforcement, of course, do your homework, do your research, find out whether there's a police job. There's a lot of police profession is a tremendous career. There are a lot of police jobs within the state of New Jersey, not just local police. There's state police, there's rail police, college police, and a lot of other police agencies statewide. I'd recommend any possible candidate to continue to get your education. Education is key. Continue to do your research, take tests, but always continue to train, always continue to get an education. You'll never be at a loss for having a higher education in any field. But it's a great job. I'd recommend we need good police officers in this field continuing down the road. And like I said, policing is the most noble of professions. We need educated people who really love this job, love people, and want to make a difference.
I'll agree. It's a noble profession. It really is, okay? Once again, everybody, this is a conversation with the mayor, and we've had Chief Hart with us today. Chief, I want to thank you for your time and your dedication to this profession.
Thank you.
Well, I certainly hope all of you out there have enjoyed this program. I am Bradley Cranzo, the television station manager here for the city of Linden. So until next time, take care.